Acts of mass violence among adults, while they may seem random, are actually a result of a combination of several factors, of which biological and environmental factors have the largest impact on determining whether a child will commit violence in adolescence or adulthood. A quote from the article called "Tragedy and the Meaning of School Shootings" explains the situation that a school shooter had at home. Scott Pennington, Fast tells us, who shot a teacher and the custodian in 1992, knew his father only through random episodes of violent physical abuse and knew his mother as a mentally ill woman hiding behind the barn when people came to visit and ruminating about ghosts. Scott's home life wasn't good. He was abused by his father and his mother wasn't there to help. This situation he was in with his family was a reason why he went and shot 2 people at school. Another quote from Jack Levin and Eric Madfis talks about how a school shooter was abused by his father. Eric Houston, who killed his teacher and 3 students in 1992, was violently abused by his father, suffered from organic brain damage, and testified to sexual abuse from a teacher. Both of these quotes show that the shooter has been abused. Domestic violence is a big factor in what causes a person to become a school shooter. Next is the social factor. This factor comes from the experiences in school with peers, relationships, or other social experiences in someone's life. From the article Mass Murder at School and Cumulative Strain by Brian Warnick et al. Explains the many factors that can lead someone to become a school shooter. In many cases, gay baiting, bullying, and other forms of harassment by peers were persistent themes. Brian Warnick also describes more catalysts that can cause school shooters. With school shooters, the catalyst is most often a humiliating loss of face, a rejection by a girlfriend, a loss of academic standing, an eviction from a community of peers, or even a major illness. Humiliation, rejection, bad academic standing, and even a major illness can all be factors that push someone to become a school shooter. One more quote from the article, Mass Murder at School and Cumulative Strain, explains why high school and middle school students become mass shooters. High and middle school students who go on a rampage often suffer some episode by their peers or romantic interests that leaves them unable to any longer cope with the day-to-day harassments they have endured. These quotes demonstrate that some catalysts that can push someone into being a school shooter can be bullying, rejection, relationship problems, and other forms of harassment. While many people who face these issues do not become a mass shooter, these catalysts are present in many of the people that do become mass shooters. The third largest factor to consider is what might be going on in the biology of a person who commits violent acts later in their life. Usually, there are a number of things that can go into the biology of someone who might grow up to be violent. In a research paper published by Science Direct, the following quote was examined. Having a genetic predisposition for criminal behavior, for instance, may not totally determine the actions of an individual, but if they are exposed to the right or wrong environment, their chances are greater for engaging in criminal or antisocial behavior. This is something that definitely plays into what can make someone violent. Just because they may have a predisposition to aggression, does not necessarily mean the person will become aggressive. They are more likely to, however. There are certain parts of the brain that are known to be linked to aggression and violence within mammals. It is possible that some humans experience deficiencies in these areas. The paper also highlights this by saying, faulty genes appear to be associated with some expressions of aggression. For example, recessive genes on the X chromosome that are referred to as MAOA and MAOB, Cases et al., 1995. They both produce enzymes called monoamine oxidase collectively. Monoamine oxidase is an enzyme that has been shown to be associated with antisocial behavior. Norepinephrine, serotonin, and dopamine are metabolized by both MAOA and MAOB. Among their catalytic functions, these particular enzymes are vital to the inactivation of monoaminergic neurotransmitters. 161. Along with humans, there have been tests on mice in order to help the science community's understanding of what can make something violent. They show similar responses to stimuli as humans, so researchers concluded that the tests conducted on the mice would be beneficial to understanding all animals, but specifically, humans. In mice, A gene in males that influences the production of a neurotransmitter called nitric oxide causes them to be extremely aggressive physically and sexually. This study showed types of abnormalities that could result in sexual and physical violence within animals. Similarly, humans with these same abnormalities are more likely to be more aggressive. All of these factors can go into what shapes a person and the choices they make as an adult. There are essential steps that could be taken in order to better our understanding and help care for individuals who may be at risk to commit violence in their future. We can first do this by taking time to understand the background and biological factors that are present in these people. The more violence is studied, the more precise we can be when dealing with it in its origin. In the future, parents, educators, and community leaders can take on the task, along with everyday citizens, in order to be a more effective mentor and possibly provide the guidance needed to lead those who need it in a positive direction, through extra support where it is needed as well as other areas.